ठीक है.
Sure.
So विश्वास, जैसे मैंने तेरे को कल बताया था, that this is our idea is to talk about marvelous world of digital payments in India and superheroes of digital payments. So I have shared the questions with you yesterday. We'll start with the first one. Who's your superhero, favorite superhero?
Okay, so there are two types.
And why?
There are two types, right? One is virtual and one is real life, right? So the virtual one, definitely Superman. I think no other superhero comes close because
सबको लड़की चाहिए हीरो बन के.
look, he is smart, he is intelligent, he is actually a journalist, not a dumb superhero who will just go and fight for anything, right? He's a news anchor, right? And plus he can fly, he can go across the world in 3 seconds and change, and he has all the power, 8 eyes, or so who comes near? Either Batman or anybody. So I think Superman has all the techs that I require. In real life, I like innovating people. So people who are innovators who push the human boundaries. So it's Steve Jobs or Elon Musk or even Mukesh Ambani for changing how data is consumed in the country, right? So I'm not too impressed by Jack Ma and others, because Jack Ma did exactly what Amazon and eBay did, just copy pasted that model with support. So no new anything innovative that he did. So for me, innovators matters. So Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, or Mukesh Ambani, push the boundaries matter.
Yeah. Sounds good. So Vishwas has to look like a Superman in our cover. That we have to do, Upendra. Yeah, that we'll do a special.
उसमें ये V sign लगाएंगे, S छोड़ के V डालेंगे.
IA लगाना पड़ेगा. S की जगह IA. Infibeam Avenue, right? Or only A probably. We'll see what works best. And so Vishwas, while you shared that article, which was very helpful because it has all the key points, how you started, what were the initial days, things. And I think when you started, there were just 1 or 2 companies. Do you still want to add anything which was not there in the article? For an example, what was your vision which was different than other players in the market? So there were hardly any. And,
so if you're going to take that article to the core, it mentions everything, right? From the initial days where started off on multiple avenues for merchants to do business online, right? And I think that article was written in 2010. So that's the first decade of the journey. From 2011 to 2020, we can cover in this interview. But more or less, that is covered. But during that period, if you see, there were only 3 payment gateways from 2001 to 2010, BillDesk, TechProcess, and us. While BillDesk and TechProcess were focused on utilities, we were the only ones who supported SMEs from day one. We took the risk, we took the chargeback risk before the 2FA thing came in 2007. We onboarded in those days around 60,000 merchants, which was something to like democratizing payments in those days, right? Upendra is aware with ICICI also and so many others, the entry barriers was so limited. Like even in ICICI till 2003 on online, they didn't have more than 300, 400 merchants on the platform that they had onboarded at that time. HDFC closed down in 2001. They restarted in 2003 and others. So SME support, what we gave in that first decade helped a lot of gifting sites, small sellers and others to be in the e-com space. That you can add.
Yeah. So you were the only player who really focused on the new dreamers of internet e-commerce, websites, portals, and empowered them, which nobody else thought.
Yes.
And took that extra risk because they were considered real risk but innovators. You supported them. Perfect.
Yes.
So you want to summarize anything?
Naveen, sorry. Vishwas, who was your first merchant who went live?
The first merchant was my own website, seasonsindia.com, because the whole idea of payments started because I wanted payments for my own, to be able, because NRIs was a big audience for the Season site, right? Seasons itself was the first. I was my first customer myself.
Okay. And aapke baad? Who was
But then lots
outside?
of gifting sites started. These were the earlier All India Flores, Flowers to Mumbai, Flowers to Delhi, NRI giftings and other things. HomeIndia.com, if you remember those days. That's the which side of.
Are any of them still alive?
Many of them still there. Many of them are still there.
Still there.
But in the
Ferns and
age of
Petals would be still there from early days. Ferns and Petals.
Ferns and Petals came late. They came in 2006-7, 5-6.
Okay.
They tried to make a network like what you built in Heights Cash. They tried to build a network of delivery and try to give branding and other things.
Yeah.
So Ferns and Petals around 2006-7 they came. But earlier there used to be a guy in Kolkata who used to own 140 websites with different domain specific, flowers to Kolkata, flowers gifting to Mumbai, gifting to Pune. Rajneesh Rathi was his name.
Is he still in business? Is his business still live?
Yeah, his business is still live.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So Vishwas, later now, if you can send us names of some of the first guys, and especially if some of them are still there, it'll be great to know.
Yes, definitely.
And also some of these interesting guys that who did like hundreds websites in that and who still is able to survive over 20 years. That would be interesting to know. And probably they also survived because you supported them, right? There was no other option for them to receive money.
So we were the first gateways of a lot of today, unicorns, right? We were the first payment gateway for, say, Flipkart or Redbus, or even when Make My Trip started India Business, or many of the others.
Yeah.
Many, you name any who started in 2007-9, we were the first gateway by choice over there at that time. Because net banking had taken off, right? And net banking is where we had to innovate. Credit was the only thing, and debit card were not allowed to be used online till 2007 because it was mapped to your bank account and there was no second factor and banks had disabled it. So that's why we worked with core banking guys, Infosys and FlexCube or 5Flex at that time, and ensure that outside the card systems, card networks, we could do a transaction. So that's what we innovated. We're trying to, because India was a debit society. Credit card was, what in 2001, open rate was only 3 or 4 million unique credit cards at that time, right? Credit card in India, right? And in a population of almost 110 crores at that time, there were only like 30 lakh credit cards. Unique will be even less at that time, if you see, right? And how do you grow the e-commerce pie when there are no payment options? So that's why net banking took off. India was a debit society, so that's how it is.
Do you want to highlight anything on your last decade journey? Or one question definitely I have is that you are one of the, actually you are the only exception in a digital payments who did not take any third-party funding or any investors like VC, and you rather chose to do a straight listing through your M&A route. So any reasons, any other things that you want to highlight? So of course that question I want you to answer, but anything else that you want to highlight for last decade or so?
So I think in between 2001 to 2012-13, not a single fintech got funded except BillDesk, right? Which was initially funded by Bob and SEDBI. And in around 2012-13, then they started getting bigger rounds and other things that is there. So there was no funding available for fintech in the first decade, if you see, right? Yeah. Even EBS, which started out with some builders money from this thing in Malad in 2008-9. Between that and 2001 decade, there was no money. So even if I wanted to go for money, there was nobody ready to fund a fintech in those days, right? So by 2010-11, we were very profitable. So never, there were once or twice cases where we wanted to grow internationally and even in India, but they did not agree to a valuation at that time. So the problem was that we had a history of a decade and we had profitable. So both the things VCs don't understand. VCs want, say, in 1-2 months, the graphs will be like this only, scaled up, and then they can do it. So
you needed to grow your losses than instead of profit to get funded.
Yes. And you need to, show that super exponential 3-digit growth in every quarter so that they get super excited, so that they can think that I will get maximum returns in 4 quarters, 5 quarters, 6 quarters of my investments, right? And 4x, 10x. So we did not have that growth pattern. We growth consistently like an HDFC bank, 25, 30, 40% year on year. But ours was in 3 digits, but it was a good growth. And the margins were also good. Competition was less. Happy doing business on earning on every transaction, right? And then gradually scaling up to what we are today, 1 lakh crore plus processing volume, what we are doing today.
Yeah. So then, how did this decision of listing, merger, all those things happen? I mean, that's a different route, right? It's a
okay. So
and also happened last few years back.
Right. So
big milestone.
Yes. So it happened in 2017-18. If you see, we had planned to list in around 2015, but that time, every time we tried doing a red herring and trying to do it, the markets were very bad. Markets were not conducive to understand what internet business is. Markets were not conducive to understand what a fintech was. Right. So every time we tried, some issues or the other. Right. And then the only way out for us for exponential growth, one was either doing our own IPO or merge with the listed entity. That were two things that were there. Second thing, globally, if you see, platform and payments have a very sexy business model. Right from the early days, from 99, 2000, when eBay came in and then they bought over PayPal. So eBay, PayPal, a marketplace with platform along with payments is a big deal. Right. Same thing happens when same thing happened with Rakuten and Rakuten payments in Japan. Then Alibaba came in 2004 and Alipay came in, right? So a platforms business along with payments work very well, and because platforms gives a easy onboarding and less technology and fully hosted solutions to merchants for them to go online, payments by default goes into it, right? Infibeam on their side was listed, profitable, and they had the GEM contract. The GEM contract was a government e-marketplace. Government's procurement of almost 7 lakh crores of yearly transactions of procurement will go through the GEM platform. And there is a percentage-based income occurring to Infibeam for providing the entire technology software. A 24 bips kind of that comes to the consortium. So what it means is that a platform, any marketplace, if you have seen in India, even today, as of now, all those who have launched, be it Flipkart, Snapdeal, Amazon, or now even this thing, all are loss making, and it's the guy who gets the highest money in is winning the game, right? So it's the guy who can raise the maximum will win. Otherwise are losers, right? So if Snapdeal could not compete with the Flipkart fundraise, right, it had to die down. Even though raising a couple of $1 billion, that also died down. Died down in the sense today what it is just there for that is there. So where I'm getting at is that the marketplace, the biggest money that goes in, of course, there is some good money required to build the software and technology and the infrastructure below. But the maximum money goes is in marketing, advertising, and subventing the products to get on the sales, right? So if you see in any balance sheet right now, 90% of the cost or their losses or cost is on marketing and this thing. Now on a B2C marketplace, to get those customers and move on to say today's volume of Amazon is around 13,500 crores of online sales or 14,000 crores half yearly. Annualize, you make it around 18,000 crores is what they do right now. Here in a GEM marketplace, the government is the buyer. We had to onboard all the sellers, and there is a confirmed sale which will move up to around 7 lakh crores. Already 58,000 crores worth of transactions have gone through the GEM platform. It will move to 7 lakh crores a year. Indian Railways just signed up last week. If you have seen Piyush Goyal's announcement, 70,000 crores of entire railways, Northern Railways, Southern, Western, all railways ka procurement of 70,000 crores a year will move completely to a GEM platform. Same goes for say AIIMS hospitals, all their procurement, KVIC and others. So here is a marketplace where there is a fixed buyer and there is no cost in getting these buyers, right? Here you have full access, the KYC and everything to all the sellers, right? And here you have to provide the technology and other things, and you are earning a margin. If I do B2, so if I have no cost of advertising and if I can do 7 lakh crores, it will be like at least 20x of Amazon and Flipkart, Walmart put together. So that's the kind of marketplace that GEM is, right? So that's why that marketplace gem along with CC Avenue, where we can do not only our payments but going forward lending, short-term lending, working capital lending to all our sellers who sell on the gem platform, right? So it's a no-brainer when you look at it holistically how the world has evolved. And if you have Alibaba with Alipay, it is a gem with CC Avenue, right? And other platforms also that we have put in, right? And that kind of access to sellers right now, if you've seen, 400,000 sellers have already onboarded GEM in less than 8-10 months. So you can see per day we are onboarding sellers in thousands. Anybody who wants to sell even a pen to the government, they will have to be onboarded with full KYC by us. Pen le lo, ye le lo, air conditions le lo, desk le lo, gaadi le lo. Now even medium buying has moved to GEM. So now even we are doing KYC of Times Group, Dainik Bhaskar Group, NDTV Group. Anyone who wants to say, take advertisement money is being done through the GEM. So that's why the whole reason is that a platform plus payment story works. So merging with a listed entity which is profitable and added to R will only scale. So hence it is already paid off.
It was a clutter-free market. It was business to government, and it's a clutter-free and lot more scale than anything else.
Yes, and that is just one platform. We have multiple platform deployments in India also. So the entire Amul ka platform we do, a lot of big MNCs like Samsung ka B2B we do. Internationally also in US we do the Sears ka platform. In Saudi we do the platform for the entire, their biggest telco there, Saudi Telecom. Their joint platform for all the MSMEs across Saudi Arabia. The Jumbo Group, which is the biggest electronics group in the Middle East, his entire platform is powered by our solution.
Procurement. So you're saying this marriage expanded your reach into the different segments and got your business model even more stronger and allowed you to go global much faster and only without compromising on the profit pools or revenues.
It's only and it gives me additional payments volume through the platforms, right? So platforms when it is CC Avenue is pre-integrated, it gives automatic volume. Second thing is that it's highly sticky and it gives optimized margin. When you say highly sticky in the sense that, say today a payu goes to a Jumbo Electronics and say take my payment gateway, I'll discount below interchange and give it to you. The merchant will say, what will I do with your just the payment? I need the whole solution, the platform which is pre-integrated with CC Avenue, right? Because that's so many hooks, so many teams, state, the entire procurement, the entire distribution, shipments, everything flow through the platform with payments all built in at various touch points, right? So a vanilla payment gateway guy will not be able to compare, even if they go below interchange, VC funded guy otherwise. So that's why it gives a lot of stickiness, it gives a lot of optimized margin. Hence the platform come payment story.
So I think we have two questions. One is on future, but before we go to the future, I think other than me in the industry, you're the only guy who actually had a spend a lot of time conceiving, focusing, contributing to industry forum. In fact, the reality is that you were the first chair of a digital payment committee which started ever, which is what got eventually converted into PCI. And even when I chaired you, I mean, we worked together as a co-chair continuously, and now we're the chair. So there are so many other industry players who were, let's say, there right from BillDesk when you were there. They were also large. They were even after that. But you also had that mindset that we should contribute for the industry and work. I mean, why did you have that thought process? Why do you think that you needed to do it? Was it required? Why did you think was important? What do you think has been achieved out of that? What's your views on that? Exceptional person like me, I think, who's actually worked for the industry, not just the business.
Agreed, Naveen. So overall, if you see, if any industry starts working and everybody knows e-commerce was the future, right? And digital payments is going to be the future. The sheer convenience and the sheer reach, a normal local shopkeeper will address at least 2 or 3 lanes behind his shop. That's just where his consumer. But the moment he goes online, it's a .com or a .in, and then the whole world is a market. So it's going to grow. And when anything grows, then you should have the vision that there are going to be a couple of things, right? One is VCs, and once VCs comes in, that market typically dies because they want scale at any cost, and it becomes a loss maker is always a leader in that particular category where the funds come, right? So it was going to attract funding in those times or later. We envisage very well. Second thing is regulatory. Government, RBI, all are going to get active, right? Once they get in, and from 2007, we formed the committee in 2005, right? We formed IMEI in 2004, and the digital payments thing I started with me only as the only member and the chairman, co-chair, and the member. We started that committee, and then we got a couple of these guys, and then you also came in and other things in 2007 and other things. But the second factor thing came in 2007. The car company rules and bylaws change on aggregator rules changed, MSP came in, and all that stuff came in. So we had anticipated that there's a lot of regulatory change coming in. Government is going to come in the way. The RBI is going to play a role, and we need to get all on equal footing or at add item on the same thinking platform that we'll have to jointly face it. Third was the media. Right. Once the media likes to get into success story and other things, there are 100 other guys going to come in, right? Some with a long-term vision, some with a very, very short-term grow and flip kind of a model, some with a mid-term model, and the kind of changes that were happening on every transaction with second factor, with issues in net banking, because the core banking solution was never meant to be a payment system. We made it was supposed to be deployed at all the banks, and the managers and the staff is accessing it for balances. It was never authorized as a payment instrument in the sense that there was no reconciliation, there was no refund mechanisms, there was so many other things that you require in a proper payment systems was not there. So hence all to do this issue on a personal note, it comes out as a selfish, right? You're trying to talk only about yourself and only you have the problem and not the industry. Right, so we had to get a group, and as more players came in, so that's that the whole idea was to contribute. And today it's in such a state that even a small MDR has become the Times of India headline. Never thought, never anticipated it way back 15 years back that such kind of a digital payments car zero MDR can become a Times of India headline. Right, it's gone to that stage, and now everybody is coming in to have their own pound of flesh without any thinking from the overall perspective. There's so many sufferings, so many new models that have come in, right? So that's why we had to contribute, and there was no way out not contributing or getting everybody together on one platform. Hence this thing, and hence the payments committee.
I think you could do that because there were others who could have done it, but you could get a lot of people at least involved, and you allow all of them to work with you very easily, very comfortably.
Yeah, someone has to be that leader and take the first initiative, because everybody is all sucked into your own life, own business, own challenges, right? So holistically, someone has to come out, step out, and get things going. Right?
Pendra, before we go into future outlook, anything else from your side?
Yeah, so in fact, Naveen, this conversation is very important because we haven't spoken with anyone about business to government.
Yeah.
So he's actually raised a very mammoth one, and even I didn't know about the size of it, honestly.
Yeah,
right? So I think that is also, something we need to spend some time on. So, Vishwas, very quick question. Like GeM, are there any other platforms in a similar space in India?
So GeM is the entire central government procurement, entire thing that has been folded into it. Then there is state governments also trying to do their own individual. But now 20 state governments have also moved on to the GeM platform. Practically all the BJP ruled states are coming online. Even non-BJP also, a couple of them have come up and signed up onto the GeM platform. And that's an additional 5 lakh crores a yearly procurement business that is coming. So that's a huge effort, because the different departments that our teams have to trade, like a PW department of Bandra East or a police car procurement in Crawford Market, country-wise, zilla-wise, village-wise, everybody needs to be trained on the platform how to put their requirements. Government has pushed a lot. Arun Jaitley changed the rules in the sense that if an officer earlier had to buy, there was a policy impasse in the last government, right? So no officer was taking a decision. So even if you want to buy a bottle of water, right, a simple, for that also they had to make sure that the junior guys take the senior sides also and the other senior sign also, so that kal chal ke koi ungli uthaya tune paisa khaya, right? So that does not happen. And for that, the delay of procurement and that whole delay, the whole cycle delay was because of that was happening. Today, what a simple rule that he changed was that if any government officer procures through GEM, right, there won't be any CAG audit. And one single statement of no CAG audit. So if I as an officer require this and I have within my power to buy items up to say 50,000 rupees, and this is what is my requirement charted out, I can go directly on GEM, put up my requirements and buy it out. Right? Second thing was the biggest problem that was faced is by the sellers. To get the money out of the government, they had to grease so many pounds, right? So for that year, GEM portal guarantees them money in between 18 to 20 or 60 days after delivery. The money, they don't have to go and meet the officer or the department, right? So transparency in getting the seller's money out. So that what invariably happens is that when someone is putting up their requirements in L1 and in the GEM platform as a government, right? When they put up, right? They don't know who the seller is. All sellers look at that L1 and bid on it in a very transparent manner, right? And when they bid and they win and when they deliver, the platform guarantees the payments. And the guy who buys, there is no CAG audit. It's a full scene that is there and there. Of course, there are many challenges where people still try to pack the system. Pack the system in the sense that try to crack it in a sense because this is something decades of corruption with this is being eliminated by this government here, right? Because पहले क्या होता था बिहार में एक बोलेरो लिया है तो 22 लाख का है तो 2 लाख मेरे चचेरे भाई को भेज देना हो गया इधर पैसा हो गया. That's how it used to work. Now everything is gone online. Railways has made it 100% compulsory to buy only through GEM and other things, right? So now the transparency and others. So there is an entire risk unit put up by the ministry there in Delhi just to see how people are trying to break it. And every day there are challenges. Like last week only, someone is buying that 1 TB ka hard disk, right? Someone wanted that. So what he had already, the department already had a setting with the vendor, right? So what they try to do is that he put up his requirement as 650 GB of a portable hard disk. There is 500 GB and there is 1 TB. Most of the sellers have written into that. So what this guy, the vendor, has done is that he had downgraded his 1 TB and listed his item as 650 GB. And he was the only one. And there was some 600 pieces of that software trying to put. So then there are other conditions put in that if you're getting in cheaper, a higher valid also, that should come automatically. So every day, these guys are very smart. So there's an everyday challenge how they want to beat the system. And then there's a team who works at it. And now, since there are more than like 2 million items and so much procurement and other things happening, like UP government bought 7 lakh sweaters in this rainy seasons last year. Wow. 400 tractors were bought. Right?
Do you see going forward services, work contracts also coming on these kind of platforms?
Yes, it's already planned right now. It's already planned. So right now,
for example, IRCTC payment gateway services. Why not through this?
Yes. So many others were being planned. The entire TReDS platforms ka integration chal raha hai, multiple things where invoice factoring for sellers can happen. Many other things are planned. Services also, but I am not at liberty for you all to publish right now. But many other things. Even services ke andar, how do you maintain the quality? What is promised and what is bid for?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So all those has to be every category that is put up nice thought of like debated for over a month by various smart guys there, and they're really smart guys there right now. It's like a punishment posting there. So all the smart IAS who do really well, they are all coming there. Right, because there's no money to be made there, but they're really applying their mind. So they're smart guys and they're doing a lot.
And as Amul is also seen as a cooperative platform, right? It's also a federation, it's also a platform in its own. Are there any plugin of payments also within that entire platform? I know that there are a lot of work that at a Infibeam level that you're working, but is there also a payment play there connecting within that entire digitizing their entire milk related
so that is currently happening right now. So with Amul, that is currently right now, we're just giving the platform for the inventory. You'll be surprised that they have 150 plus products. It's just on Amul butter, right?
Size also is very big. Their numbers are also very staggering, right? Their whole business volume.
It's very staggering.
30,000 crores or kuch hai.
Yeah. So their numbers are very staggering and the entire thing is broken, right from the money from the consumer to the shopkeeper to the distributor to Amul to the farmer, right? The entire thing is so physical, and that old 60s, 70s ka government ka check writing with signing with authorities and going there and here, and the whole thing is going to be automated. So we already launched their online store in Ahmedabad with physical delivery being done by us. AmulOnline.triple or on AmulOnline.com also with our own this thing. So the whole process of us and through our platform digitizing, putting it in a digital way, all their data and other things with different offices and things is happening. Second stage, it will go on and then automated using all the rails of MPCI, IMPS, NEFT, automating it, giving cards at the other end to the farmer where he can get instant money so that he can, proactively increase his burden. So the payout is going to him every month of 45 days to the farmer for milk that he's applying every day, right? So there's a whole process. So if he was to get it instead of month or 45 days, if he gets it daily in real time, he could probably increase his volumes turnover also, buy more cows or buffaloes and do more, right? So right now he looks at a 1 month horizon where he has to play within that flow. So all those things can be automated. Lots of things to be done. And as I said, right from ice creams to paneer to cheese to you name it, Amul is getting into it, right? Right from their Tetra Pak milks to lassi service. 150 products and they're increasing size and they're doing well. So a lot of automation is possible right up to the small farmer level. So I think it's going to be quite a challenging project.
The key term here, Upendra, is the ecosystem and the platform play with the retail. Yeah, go ahead.
Correct. So Vishwas, the payments on GeM are all via net banking?
Right now, it's all happening through NEFT RTGS.
NEFT RTGS.
Because the payment amounts are huge. It's
correct.
Couple of lakhs minimum, goes up to crores also.
Got it.
Right now.
Okay. And so what is the central government purchasing right now? 100,000 crores. How much did you say?
58,000 crores, which has gone online.
58.
GeM.gov.in, everything is very transparent on the front page itself. Number of sellers, the number of transactions, the amount, number of products, everything.
But you're saying actual value is 7 lakh crore.
Per year, 7 lakh crore per year is a central government procurement which will go online. That is their current, what they are doing offline. What is coming to online is the process. The process is going on, training almost couple of million government departments, right?
Yeah.
Training them on the platform is going to take time. It's not an easy job, right? And you're trying to push, and there is no compulsory methodology. Benefits are given, but it's still not 100% compulsory that you have to buy it. Railways has made it. News Girl just announced 2 days back he's made it. Same if initiative is taken by others, can move fast.
And Vishwas, can we speak with anyone in GeM, any of these guys? Just to have a quick word with them, because this is very large and is a very interesting story actually.
Yes. So then I'll give it. I'll give a person of mine, Neeru Sharma, a lady who sits out in Delhi. She manages the GeM thing.
Sure.
For us. The main officer for our book will not speak for something else. If you want to speak, then we can do it because these are government babus. So someone who will. But GeM.gov.in, if you follow their Twitter handle and if you see their press releases, you will get the whole story.
Maybe we can jot down some questions and get them to answer it. That's the best way to get it.
Yeah.
Correct. So, Naveen, this one is actually very large and it's very interesting.
Yeah.
The reality is not too many people know about this aspect of it.
True. And I think currently like Vishwas is saying, the payments are still happening in a different way. But as it becomes more retail in nature, you will have all other retail digital payment instruments also getting used. Currently, it's limited to RTGS and NEFT, but it won't be in itself future avatar. It will be fully converged.
And look at it other way also. We are the only fintech which is listed on the Indian stock market. Only fintech in India. Only payment gateway processor which is listed in India right now. Neither BillDesk is listed or either FSS nor anybody. So that's also the first fintech to be launched here, and a lot of firsts that we have. We are the first to process RuPay, first to launch net banking, first to get American Express in the country, first only ones to provide.
Why don't you get somebody to list it and send it to us on email? This was all the first time that.
Okay, so corporate deck hai. There's a corporate deck which can the first 5-6 slides will give you. So maybe that you can put first to be listed now. We are the only ones. If you've seen our last year's return, last year processing volume was around 65,000 crores, 1100 crores of revenue, 125 crores of profit. So now that you match it with say Vijay ka 4,600 crores ka loss last year, with processing volumes of around 1,10,000 crores was his last, right? And a phone pay with 2,800 crore loss, right? So anybody else you compete now, you know, loser market is very easy to build scale, right? Upinder knows, he's done this business. We have also done it. It's cashback, right? So doing anything below interchange, if I stand outside my gate or 500 rupees de raha hu urgent ko, maybe from Santa Cruz the line will go up to अपना जू तक, पर अगर 2,000 का नोट देने लगो तो मीरा रोड तक लाइन लग जाएगी. So getting that business, and if you're losing on every transaction low 500, so then that is there. So in this difficult market, we still say that we don't process a single transaction in loss, nor we have ever been what do you call any of the other parameters you want to beat a million merchants that we have, right? And the various solutions that we have built within that is huge. Like we have other SaaS solutions like what we do in Bill Avenue, right? So in Bill Avenue, we have onboarded almost 6 lakh agents under the Bill BPS. That is across 1,200 cities and towns. There are these agents who are doing all these services through us, bill payments, and now we are on DMT and recharges and others. So that we are doing it. And you can also look at our Res Revenue solution for the hospitality industry, right? So we do almost 2,000 plus hotels who use a complete distribution engine where when they put up the inventory, through that we give a fully hosted booking engine on their own website with payment gateway, plus distribute it to booking.com, Make My Trip, Yatra, SeatTrip, hotels.com, right? Through one single phase and their real-time query. So you don't have to give separate inventory to different OTAs. Through one system only you can collect and say no. That's a whole entire channel manager that we have built for the hospitality industry. So that's our platform with payment story there, right? Then we have gone international.
Right? Your Events Avenue thing.
Events Avenue is there, which IMI used to use it all these years for registration and other things. Then there is, we've gone international. So in UAE, we are the number 2 players there. This year we'll be number 1. We do about $1 billion of processing there in the UAE market. So all the big merchants in UAE, be it MR, Damac, you know, Nakheel, all those builders, if you've been to UAE, or all the the Dubai Smart Government, all the insurance companies, they use our solution. Then we are now also launched in UAE, Saudi, we are connecting now to their MADA system, which is the RuPay equivalent there in Saudi, a local network there. MADA cards, right? We have to connect to that. So that is happening. We just launched in USA last month, right? And a couple of big merchants on the unveil. So that's what. So we're not just an India centric, we are a true blue multinational, be it on the platforms or payments. Focus right now is in USA, Middle East, and India. That's the focus area right now for the next year.
So Vishwas, I have a very stupid question.
Mute. Naveen, you're mute.
Let's go ahead, Upendra. I'll ask another one.
So Vishwas, I have a very stupid question.
Yeah.
Because you make money, correct? So my question is, what is it that you're doing differently? Because the customer is the same, because you're servicing the same merchants which everyone else is as well. So what are you doing differently or better, which maybe the other guys are not doing?
So I think the most important thing is the view. You have a mid-term view, you have a long-term view, or you are doing business to your real money is to be made from the consumer, merchant, or from the VC. That's the first mindset that you need to clear off, right? So first thing is we have a mid-term view and we have a this thing. So there is a lot of one, technology, second, relationships. That's the different thing what we do. Technology in getting the maximum number of payment options. Second thing, giving a very robust new age, all the new age technologies. We were the first in so many things. In second vector, putting in OTP on our page, to different kind of settlements, split settlements and all that stuff, and delivering a better success ratio, giving three gateways in the back end with different banks to a single merchant. So if this fails here, it goes here. A lot of honors offers, pricing advantage that we give to our merchants and other things. So one is definitely technology, right? Because that matters a lot to the bigger set of merchants that are there. International payments, DCC, any of those technologies, if you see, we were the first to launch. We were PCI compliant way back in the year 2007 when the standards had just come in, and we were the first in Asia Pac to be certified. So anything new in technology, we've done it. Second is relationship, right? Those who have been in 3 to 4 years, 5 years know that, okay, this is a long-term thing. So any of the CEOs on first name basis of any of the top 300 companies that are there doing business volumes, might be knowing them, or they might not be knowing me. So it's both ways it goes. Via directly, by going and meeting them over the years, I still not afraid to call up and go and meet them at their place and wait 1 hour if it's required and build relationships with them, right? So that is one part that comes in, right? And second thing is that we don't do a lot of posturing, right? And posturing in a sense that all the new age guys says that we are so better and these are dying and other things. We don't do that. And fourth and most important, which people have appreciated that over the last 20 years, right? Two things. We have never missed the payout. Every transaction over 20 years, people see that if he is processing it through me, he's taking a risk on the payment gateway for 24 hours to 48 hours till the settlement comes in. We have not missed a single payout in the last 20 years, right? And second thing is integrity. Integrity in believing that the merchant's data is their data. They have spent lakhs and crores of rupees on Google AdWords and other kind of marketing to get a customer in on their thing, and we are just processors. For us, data is not the new oil. A data, there is a integrity where we have to be like Caesar's wife. We have to be above board. We don't play with the merchant's data. We don't claim that, oh, he has processed word, so that is my merchant, so I'm going to do 20 kind of analytics. ये travel का air ticket का, ये city से इतना आया, ये village से इतना आया, इसका ये है, उसका वो है, और मैं अभी consumer को finance दूंगा, वो consumer उसका consumer को मेरा customer बनाऊंगा. जब wallet आया था, everybody launched wallet. Almost every payment gateway launched, right from PayU. But we never launched the wallet because we always believe that I'm not going to give a wallet to my merchant's customer. If I have the ability to launch it as a separate product and use separate data to give it out, I would have done it. But many try to become in by giving them, like a PayU money that you have to sign on first, right, as a customer and become a PayU money customer, yes. Right? We did not do that. We did not launch a wallet, and many merchants, even the top guys who still process with us, it is that integrity and that service and that kind of, even if there's a problem, they still call me at middle in the night. Right, so that kind of accessibility, service, technology, constant upgrades. Like our 350 programmers who work into it are so passionate. Everything new we are trying to innovate. You name it, because when you were there, the first link-based SMS we launched in 2001. That collect money through SMS mail. Right, what today they are saying, the pay links and all that stuff. We did it 20 years back, and it's still happening, and we innovated much ahead. The first hosted shopping cart, ready-made shopping cart with the PG. That CC Avenue shopping cart was there. It's still being used by thousands and thousands of merchants right now. Right? All those others, when Magento came in, Shopify came in, all their plugins for different versions from those days. 2.2, today they are at 9.2, 2.2, 2.3. We have plugins for all those options that we are continuing to do. Right? So there's a lot of stickiness and there's a lot of comfort level also. And many a times merchants also face problems, or because they are defrauded for chargeback and others. We always side with our merchants and make sure that the money is protected, right? And we have never gone for easy business. Today, I can give you 3 cases, like say yesterday's news only, like Chinese gambling sites doing online poker and slot machines and everything were done by India, right? 1100 crores of transaction was processed by Cashfree and Paytm, name given in the newspaper. Right, all this gambling site progressed done, and almost 900 crores remitted from India to China, used through the local gateway. Local guys are just dummies who become Indian merchants on the record, right? And that is given out. We never went for those kind of merchants. In our age, remember 2006-7, there used to be generic drugs, Viagra, Cialis, and all those guys who had come in. They used to put up handicraft sites in front and then doing all that business, right? We never went. We never fall for that, easy business, right? So those are the things that stands in the good age. So those like, if today Make My Trip is still working with us, or a Naukri.com is still working with us, or all those guys who are the biggies right now, right? Today, Naukri.com Info Edge has a 40,000 crore market cap in India, right? Make My Trip still, even though it's in a bad right now, but Nasdaq is still a couple of $1 billion of market cap in Nasdaq, right? All those guys too, even the newer guys who look for, transparency, they trust with us. Only certain newer guys who are playing with newer games and who want rate below interchange, and these guys also show his VC, right? Like I've done this much, just teasing them with their GMV numbers without and putting all that losses in MDR as marketing costs. So those are the games who quit. So, but that's why people we're still there in the market, right? Today,
so basically, working with business principles consistently has worked.
Vishwas is very boring here.
I know you're boring. You're like HDFC Bank also very boring, consistent growth all the years. So today, who has market rewarded? Today, market has rewarded the Naukri.
HDFC Bank.
Yeah, they have rewarded them, right? So people reward them for that only, or nothing else. Consistency wins the game.
Correct.
Trust, credibility.
That's why, thankfully, I did not have any VC funding guys where I had to continuously deliver. Now, after listing, there is a quarter and quarter stress.
Under compulsion.
Yeah, Naveen?
I'm saying you didn't have to do anything under compulsion because it became blessing in disguise.
So there was no board meeting every quarter on my head and what to sow and what not to sow and how
now
to
it is, right? Now you are answerable to stock market.
It is there, but still we are quite evolved right now. So multiple product lines, multiple this thing. So there, the pressure is nothing much. And anyway, stock market.
So I think we have to cover two areas. One is the future. Before that, I forgot an important one. That while you wear your entrepreneur hat, your technologist hat, and everything else, you've also been one who has invested in your own startups in the ecosystem.
Right.
Talk a bit about Vishwas as an investor. What kind of entities? I mean, why you did it? How you find all those stories?
So self investments first, right? So multiple lines of business that I do, right?
You don't take investment, but you do investments.
Yeah. So self investments also came in multiple lines because always that dad said roti kapda makan a necessity for every business, right? So today my real estate business, that makan part is also very big for me, right? Today we have ongoing projects of almost 1,500 crores just in Bandra and Santa Cruz. Today we just picked up next to Rishi Kapoor's bungalow in Pali Hill, full 2 buildings ka ground floor tower rakha bana rahe hum log wahan pe. On Pali Hill se leke all the top projects we are doing here, right? So there is kapda is also seasons, makan is there, and IT is the new age. So today you cannot survive without roti, kapda, makan, and IT. Roti I started Bangiamo, an Italian joint on Waterfield Road, right? But I failed miserably.
Yeah, I miss that food actually. I used to love that food. He just set it down. I don't know why.
Yes. But as I said, there are other entrepreneurial ideas that come in a sense that it classes this whole economy like a food. If you don't have economies of scale, right, then you are restricted to a restaurant. So then the restaurant was just a Tony Italian joint in Waterfield Road on Bandra, and it became a bragging right, nothing else. So how long will you keep on putting it just for the sake of that bragging right? We kept it on for 4 years, 5 years, and then it said it's not worth the effort because the place that landlord's son, one Sardar who had taken the entire place with the bar license, right? His son came drunk in one night at 2:30 p.m. right? And the bartender had closed down, but he went through the back entry of the kitchen where they were cleaning up, and he demanded, and then he took the bottle and broke it on the bartender's head. And then at 3 o'clock, the police had come in, and police is calling the owner, me, and I was spent there. And then the main officer, by the time I reached, says he's coming back, he's gone home and coming back. And I sat there till 7:38, and then I decided, okay, I don't want this business, don't want this headache, and with these drunkards and different kind of paradigm, it's not worth the while. So that's when call was taken to close down the restaurant. But Kapada is doing very well. We have our own factories. There are 8,000 people working in the Seasons factories. There is a distribution point across the world, right? And there are like 600 odd shops in 300 odd cities and towns across India, which exclusively carry our stuff, right? And the whole factories of 8,000 people. Then there are jerry works and contract workers of around another couple of thousand. So Kapada is doing well, real estate is doing well, IT is doing well. Now we are listed, so our results are quite transparent, right? So that is there. Now apart from that, you have to invest in the ecosystem. So I'm a different kind of an investor. So no prejudices to the angels who will put in. Like I had met Kunal Shah. Now I don't know you're interviewing him or don't put it on record. But he had put 47 investments and he had invested 8 to 12 lakh rupees in each venture, right? So as a guy who comes in and there's 8-10 guys come in and put in 50 lakhs to a crore in a business, right, to start up and other things, how much is going to last in today's such a costly world, right? If you take, if you hire programmers and you hire this thing and office space and other things, right? That is not going to last you 5-6 months. But because of that 5-6 months, that guy is going to be so going to keep pulling it on, even if it is not working for 3-4 years, that his career gets spoiled, right? So I am a different take. So when I invest in, there is no limit. In the sense that I've done the same for Remit Guru, right? Remittance is one interesting idea because I'd seen Remit to India do very well in 2002 when nothing else was happening. Remittances from international to India is around $70 to $80 billion a year. So in 1 year, 80 billion is like multiplied by 75, right? And you see that money coming in 365 days. It's huge money coming, right? And we are the world's largest recipients of foreign exchange in the country, foreign inward remittance in the country. So that was a good business to get in because technology can easily disrupt, because the way a Western Union works, that you go to a Western Union shop in Hounslow and some dukan you there, then he gives a number and then your mom pop up. This can go to a shop by the Western Union, go and withdraw the money. Now today, it can easily be disrupted by an app where he can in real time go to his Barclays Bank there in UK, debit it here, and through real time, once I get a success, I can remit it through IMPS here in his account 24/7, right? So remittance was easily disrupted, and Times of Money had already sold out Remit to India to Finabler exchange, right? So we know that was going down. So that's why remittance building as a B2B, as a platform, and as a B2C was going to be a good. So that's why my investment went there. We started out with an investment of 2 crores, and then we kept putting 1 crore every 6 months to keep it going till 9, 10, 11, 12 crores. Okay? And then they scored the first round of funding, and good guys came in. Paytm, Vijay invested. ICICI Bank took 8% stake in that. Then Muthoot Group took, South Fincorp took, and then the Pidilite family took. So remittance on the B2B platform today, 8 out of the top 10 banks are using that platform. This thing, and almost $5.5 billion of transactions are going through that system today annually. So it was a good plan thought. It takes little time to mature, but it's a global product. It can do any corridor to any corridor, right? And on the B2C front also, with this real time, we can go much more than remittance. We can make it as a payment option than others. So that strategy is in the works and going live soon, where we have now subsidiary companies in Australia and UK and real-time tie-ups with that local payment systems there, where a guy NRI there can, through his local network, just do it real-time. Today, the only options right now are the card companies. Today, right now, the only companies is through a master Visa, and that MDR of 2.6, 2.8 is a big cost for any true international transactions, apart from currency conversion charges which your local bank will put in your host country. So remittance is what I invested in, doing very well. As a very closely focused to customer focus, right? To give that merchant services, how do you automate? So we invested in a company called Customer 360. In fact, incubated it. Customer 360.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, so it enabled it had next generation AI powered chat, video chat, normal chats, chatbots, you name it, the whole ticketing system that can work from your EPBX, also various EPBX models where tickets can be instantly created through the call centers and other things also. So it was a very good platform it was built, and in India it got used by almost in the first 3 months also 250 odd merchants went onto the platform, including the Yatra group and other groups that is there. And then they got an offer from a Nasdaq listed company called Interactive Intelligence, right? And the team wanted to go with them because USA opportunity, Nasdaq listed, and they had 20 other things as part of that customer service in that Interactive Intelligence, which would help them grow, and themselves they also wanted to learn certain things. So team said that we want to sell out. So then we had a good 8x or 10x returns on whatever investments we had put in. But because the team wanted to go, and I always go by the founders' wish, I didn't put any problems.
Sure.
And I think last year we sold it off, and it got acquired by Interactive Intelligence in US, in North Carolina, somewhere the company was in US. Then we invested in Go Payments. We wanted to have that retail network. So we were doing international remittances. We wanted to do local retail payment systems. So that's how we invested in Go Payments. That's what is there right now. Apart from that, so through that, there is a company also investments in other things also. We have a SEO, SEM company, Odigma, in Bangalore. Some 100 odd people company doing big brands, a lot of campaigns and other things. Profitable, doing well. We picked up a company called DRC Systems, which is very big in technology. So had good programmers and other things. It had that entire e-learning software part of it. It had that entire, for a builder, the entire real estate software was there, right from the labor, the hiring of the cranes and the rentals that are going on to the entire accounting for a real estate project. Many other technology platforms they had. So that is also doing well. And now we are separately listing them as a subsidiary. So DRC Systems will be listed separately. The Infibeam.com marketplace we have closed it down and given it away to Suvidha. And Suvidha will list separately. DRC Systems will list separately. So we wanted to get out because we can't compete with Amazon and Jio and Flipkart. So
correct.
Yeah. So these are the investments.
Loyalty maybe kuch. Remember I spoke with you last month. Loyalty also you've done something, right? You said.
Loyalty, there is a solution, old solution within the Infibeam group where they are doing some loyalty for some clients that they had built. So they have a solution within that with some gifting and points, and not as big as loyalty rewards or other guys that is there, but it's quite significantly big. A lot of, I think, SL World uses it and many others use it for that other things. Even the iMagica and other things use it.
Got it. Chicken. Excellent. How do you find the time?
Yeah, that's a big question. How do you find the time, Naveen? So I think time management is nothing but having good team. So frankly, today my team does not let me do any work. Right today, whole thing what I'm doing is just sitting at home right now and planning next, giving so much time to PCI also, and my other businesses also in this thing. But of course, I'm too attached to the IT Infibeam Avenues thing, so that there is daily collaboration. In fact, even after this telecall, the first call is with them only. What you're calling it as a Vision 2025 planning and other things starting out is going on. So that is there, but having a good team matters. And I think without a team, you cannot scale, right? So even if you have
Vishwas, I've seen that his team is pretty sticky. His loyalty amongst the team and being around. Yeah. I think I see the same faces in so many years. I've not seen. I've seen additions, but not the deletions or not missing the team.
So the culture is there right now. Yeah, the culture is there. I mean, you have seen my management team, whoever my CTO, COO, and now my India CEO are all there for last 18, 20 years. So they've grown with the company. They're still young, but very active. And
retention is a good point. Again, I've seen in his company.
Yeah. All right. So team.
So last question was, because I know you have to run for your next call. is the future
Yeah.
outlook. Now, depending on your being listed, you have to see what you really want to say or not say. So you can divide it into two parts. One is on the company basis your listing, you see what you can say or not say. But for the industry, you could definitely say as a PCI. Where do you see it going for next, at least let's say 2025?
So company is very clear right now. We have so many platforms and all are multilingual, multi-currency platforms that can easily go into any market. Like even in UAE, if we launch CC Avenue there, so within 2 years, if we can do $1 billion and be the number 2 and become now the number 1 player there, right? Is as easy as that. So it gives a new high because so many, like even Vijay of Paytm was looking for getting onto that Burj Khalifa that at the top. Right? He was trying to get entry and he saw CC Avenue. He paid through CC Avenue. So all those highs that others discuss. So similarly, we are trying to do a lot in Saudi and other things. So vision is very clear right now. India, Middle East, and USA is the focus area where we are getting. And there are 6 or 7 products within the company which we will scale up to multiple things. They're very focused things. 6 or 7 platforms, 7 different teams, 7 different guaranteed revenue platforms, and doing little different from where the others are getting. So that's the vision of the company. Very clear. Very leadership is being already put in place. I quit as CEO India. Ankit has taken on that role. The teams are being played, and I'm playing on a macro cross-country managing like an MNC. A lot of new learnings and other things there. The company is sorted. As far as the industry in India right now is that the loss maker is the leader, right? You can't be profitable and be the leader in GMV. You can be the leader in profitability. You can be the leader in the number of merchants onboarded and other things. But when you look at the GMV part, the processing revenue, you will never be the leader because there is always someone new who's trying to come in to scale, to get different kinds of issues I don't want to speak about. But that is there. So the problems are twofold. One is regulatory and one is from the investing community. Investing communities are not looking at growing systematically the company. They are just seeing that what something can disrupt by doing losses and 2-3x and then sell it to the next guy and get out, right? So that's the cost leader.
Capital. Do you see this going forward also? I think this capital issue that it will continue to
stabilize. It will stabilize. Right now, the problem is that the oldies are not taking the money. I'll call myself in the oldies here. So we are listed right now. So we are not picking up money. BuildAsk and his wisdom picked up $300 million last year also, right? From General Atlantic and Visa came in and Temasek came in. So they are sorted for the time being. Ingenico is not taking money, which EBS and Technosys folded into. So the only guys who are taking money on the payment gateway front is Razorpay right now, and Cashfree, which is coming up, right? But on the other neo banks and others, there is a lot of money coming in, and that's not a problem. Problem is only on these guys who are trying to use the merchants' data as their data and try to give 20 other things. Problem is that if they do business at a cost, because even US, most competitive market, but nobody there, no payments there went in a loss. So that's why you see even a $38-40 billion mergers happening in pure payment companies. Right now, the mindset is put in by the VCs into these young entrepreneurs that you don't make any money in payments and make money in lending. And lending, you are superstar. Bankers don't know, NBFCs don't know. You know everything. Go out, give out the money. But you use this AI to disperse. You use this knowledge. You take out that data from there and just give. Don't know anything what it takes for recovery. Don't know how it works on the ground. Don't know how. It's difficult to scale a lending business to be able to disperse 50 crores or 100 crores a day, right? So now these young guys have become suddenly credit, and the whole image is being put out that there is so much credit offtake in the country right now, and it's just work and just take it out and see how Alibaba is done. Today, if you see Alibaba, the maximum money, because they have built a closed ecosystem, moving money left pocket, right pocket, from one Alibaba account to another, they are 60% revenues are coming from there. right? They're still making money on transactions. Today, the whole idea is put to the government and to these new startups is at this. So that's a big concern area that we have. There's still a money can be made in payments. We have to grow the acquiring piece. You can't do a throw and flip and throw away. And yeah, that's the only big concern that is there. Money and government regulations coming. Government has become hyperactive. Instead of regulating on the smooth movement to grow systematic growth, they are getting onto the economics of pricing what a payment option like RuPay and DC should be free, RuPay DC should be free, UPI should be free, ATM keep a cap of 3-5 rupees. So growth of ATM also stops there. इधर भी कर रहे हैं अभी UPI सब कर रहे हैं because of data. But then suddenly they realize is that if you have to go and deploy actual terminal in Guwahati or in a village some 100 kilometers outside Guwahati and then put a 10,000 terminal and then support, right? Then who's going to bear that cost? Merchants we want for free, but who's going to go and give it to them? So that's all the problems that will come in, right? And then they will realize
the sustainability part for the industry, which is
such a big
challenge because of excess money in the hands of unexperienced entrepreneurs and regulators and government in their kind of overexcitement to drive it faster, derailing this.
Yes. So if you see, look, even the RuPay issuance is going to collapse because of the zero DBDR. The new numbers that will come in right now, I think in the next 6 months, you will see the Master Visa again gaining a lot of traction at the expense of RuPay, just because of the zero MDR. Because government looks ad hoc, they don't look at a grand view how it will happen. How will the bank, issuing bank, earn by giving out a plastic that they cannot charge for the plastic, right? And they're not going to earn anything issuance. They'll definitely issue a foreign card, a Master Visa card, then this. Then again, we are back to square one. What's the use of having our own network, our own local card schemes? When again, the moment we are throwing it towards the other foreign listed.
Despite these concerns, you are going to continue the payment business, right? You're not going anywhere.
Yes, a lot of innovations can come in. A lot of, as I said, vertical specific platform with payments play is good, right? The government also is building. We have built multiple within the B2B. So today the entire distillery ka payouts we are doing, or even a Hindustan Lever ka B2B ka jo platform hai. Many things. Look, the market is unbelievably huge in a country of 130 crores. Because what is commerce? Commerce is any product or services sold and payments made. This and payments made word, anywhere that is happening, we have to get it. Whether you are paying your tuition teacher the fees, we can get in there and digitize it. Or a corporate paying out to across his thousands of vendors in one go, we can get it. So any kind of commerce, as long as commerce activity is there, a lot of traction today, only 12% is digital. There's a whole 88% which still has to be made digital. So the market is huge, and then plus there's a good growth factor coming in with the economy growing at good rates and post pre-COVID only. So there are a lot of things that can be done. So payments are
is that you find the right linkages, right opportunities. There's still, if you put in that effort, there's still a money available.
Yes.
You're
so
just in hurry. You don't want to
all four things are going to happen, right? Payments method is going to be your core that you're going to make, right? You're going to make money from technology. Technology means building platforms with payments or giving an SMS service or a WhatsApp or app ke andar, right? You are going to make money from lending. Once you have that, to give it lending to your merchants so that they can do more business, payment gateway will have to give lending on this, but not by playing on their consumer data, but looking at the payments and the requirement of a merchants. Like when we see these agents, they have to prepay for doing this train booking and other things. If you can give a 2x, 3x more capital, they'll be doing more business. Yeah. So lending line. So lending is going to be the second line of where you're going to earn, right? Third, you are going to earn by cross-selling other products. Cross-selling other financial product to that merchants and other things that come in. If they want that, how you can do. And then the convenience part comes in, that where within that systems, can you do easy bill payments for him? Can you give him a corporate card? Can you give him other things? So these all four will come together to build that, that money-making thing keeps continuing. Problem only thing happens is that someone to do lending, they are killing the main payments business. To do this, you don't need to. It's not an option. It's not either or. It is and. You can make money in payments. You can make money in lending. You can make money in cross-selling financial institution products. You cannot. Don't kill one to get other just to get VC fund. That's the problem.
And
keep
globally,
the
that's how
government
it
out
happens.
of the business part. That's the other part.
No, I think you're right. Global economies everywhere, the payments and every other business has developed by adding layers of revenue, not destroying the revenue layers.
Yeah,
So that's something which is unique to India, probably.
Yes, yes. I am even surprised, like even
Ram
Ram or Visa agreeing that yes, there's no money in payments, you please earn from a distance. Even Ram saying on one post on Facebook, I think वो संपत का था, वो Insta Mojo का कुछ था comment, loss maker था. तो even Ram agreeing yes, no money can make money in payment. Ram.
He's making money as long as he makes it's fine.
Yeah.
Good. Anything else, Upendra? I think
sounds good. No, we've taken a lot of time. Vishwas, thanks so much. I really enjoyed this one here. Great to hear basic common sense. Love to hear the word profit. Don't hear it enough. So I'm very happy for you, sir.
Since last so many years,
is God.
Even for friends, those non-sustainable deals are not entertained. I will make 1 bips or 1 paisa, but I will make. I will not do it free. I will not do it without making money.
I left your HCash business, right? HCash agent funding used to be around 18 to 20 crores a day.
Actually, yeah.
20 to 20 crores he used to do every day through net banking. And PayU came him and gave him below cost net banking. And he said that you take it. You can show this. 20 crores a day for me, it is like 600 crores a month. 600 crores is $7,200 billion ka ek account hai. I let it go because free. Loss mein kaun karega? Even if I had to lose only 50 paisa, 1 rupee per transaction. I said no.
So you let the pocket when you can do it.
So PayU showed. Okay, PayU showed I am doing $1 billion and $2 billion. That came in, and I got a lot of flack from my investor, one of the in the stock analysts and others also during that time when both Ambarish and others were showing that kind of money in this. But you can do what you're running. You're showing that big value. नीचे तो तुम 8 आना per transaction lose कर रहे हो, फायदा क्या? Somewhere they realize, so you have to let go. Saying no is important in life, good. And free cash flow is God, right?
Yeah. So Vishwas, if there are any additional question, we will write for those specific information. Send us that corporate deck for that first one's pioneering efforts to be covered. We already have his article, right, Upendra? So we're good for now?
Yes, I do. Perfect.
Use those quotes from that earlier article and now 2010 ka. You can use the full article in quotes. There's nothing copyrighted over it. And couple of new quotes. Just once you send me the final script, if you are sharing it with me, then maybe we can add that pakka gyan bada comment hota na, ekdam like Kunal Shah type socha hua psychological comment that this is there, and then put it with that business story. It works better. So we will little bit glorify that particular thing.
Perfect.
So we'll put Ram's quote next to your quote.
Put that way.
Right. We're not talking to Ram anyway. There's no to talk, sir.
Oh, Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu hai na, to. All right, thanks so much, Vishwas. All the best.
Chalo, bye. Have a good day. Bye.
All right, take care.
Bye.
See you, buddy. Thanks.